So, why is it necessary to feel our pain? And the short answer is that pain is intelligence, has the same divine essence that we're made of. And these parts of us, to use IFS terminology, the exiles, the managers, they will keep nudging us towards healing. And that's the whole idea of grace, that at some point our suffering, which previously we've been trying to escape, as we turn towards it, we realize that all that suffering has been trying to point us towards is to integrate more of ourselves, is to feel more fully. And of course it makes sense. We want to turn away from our suffering. There's nothing weird or bad about it. You're not a broken person. You're not a coward. You're not lazy. You haven't gotten anything wrong by noticing your impulse to turn away from it. It's like putting your hand on a hot stove. Of course it's going to burn it, and your almost a reflex is to avoid pain, right? And physical pain, emotional pain, on some level is no different. But what we're really being called to do as we walk this path towards non-duality, liberation, enlightenment, is to embrace all of ourselves. And not only in us, but also as reflected to us by others in the world. So whatever suffering we carry on the inside, we will have reflected to us by the external world. And so we will keep bumping into our own shadow. And yes, we can try, and the keyword is try, to live life turning away from it. In Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul, which I read years ago, but I remember this one quote vividly because it made so much sense to me. It's like you have this massive wound somewhere in your body, and you can live life trying to just protect yourself from ever bumping into it or having others bumping into it. So you set up all these fences and guards, and you try to patch yourself up, and you have all of these managing tactics to avoid ever being touched in that sore spot. And that at some point, even though it initially might work, at some point it becomes exhausting. It's not that you have to integrate it, it's not that you have to heal, it's just woof, woof. Walking with my dog. It's just that at some point it becomes so burdensome, so heavy, so complicated, because obviously it's not just one wound, they kind of accumulate over time. And it's almost like a full-time job of managing our own wounds and our own shadow. And so it almost like becomes the way of least resistance. That at some point, rather than managing and hiding, repressing, pushing away, being hyper vigilant, which literally costs us so much energy. All of the worrying or being in a state of collapse or over functioning of doing double, jealousy, worry, anxiety, anger, rage, feeling unseen, feeling unworthy, and whatever the root cause might be, there are literally a million stories, right, that lead to several archetypal patterns of wounding. But there's just all of that managing that comes on top of it, that is in the long run not sustainable. That's my claim. It's not sustainable, and that's where our soul wakes up and knocks from the inside and tells us, hey, enough of that already. We can't go on like this anymore. And that's the call that some of us choose to answer, and some of us choose not to. And what happens then? There's no right and wrong. It's like Course in Miracles says, this course is mandatory. The only thing you can choose is how long time you're gonna take to finish it. But you cannot choose not to do it. It's your soul growth, it's your evolution. It's our collective evolution as humans. And it's just like a child. The child can stamp their feet and cry and throw tantrums or feel grief around growing up. It's like the whole range. It can be really beautiful seeing how a child actually wants to remain a child, and yet it cannot. You cannot do that forever, because this game that we play as consciousness is about expansion and growth and getting to know ourselves. And so we cannot stagnate. Not because it's a ruthless world and we have to grow, and standing still means slipping or regressing. It's none of that. It's just that is the name of the game that we're here to play. It's to grow, it's to expand, and to get to know more and more parts of ourselves, and to integrate those parts of ourselves into us. So these inner children, these hurt inner children, these parts of us that have been repressed, they come up to the surface now and again through this crazy divine intelligence. It's the subconscious, it's the dream. Just like at the night you might dream certain things that are deeply symbolic, just so in real life you live in a reality that's in a sense self-reflective. That means you will get your own beliefs and your own hurt and your own light reflected back to you. So whatever you believe about humans, whatever you feel on the inside, whatever your emotional tone is, you will see that out in the world. So focusing on our pain right now, you will constantly have the same triggers be activated over and over and over again. And you might see that as something to be depressed about, run away from, be upset about with God, quote unquote God, right? Just with life, with the way things are, with yourself even, leading to all sort of not productive or pleasant emotional states. Or you can see it as grace. You can see it as the love, as yourself ultimately, for there is not God's grace or angels or higher self. It is all you. It is all you knocking from the inside to say, hey man, look, here's a part of yourself that you've totally abandoned since probably childhood, the same way that it's been abandoned by your caregivers. Not necessarily because your parents were bad or ill-intentioned. It's just that they did the best they could. But in some ways, we have unnegotiable needs as humans. And some of our needs were not met by our parents because they couldn't. They did not have the capacity. They were not integrated themselves to that degree to be able to hold all of us. And that's what we are now called to do in this multi-generational healing, to integrate more and more of ourselves, more and more of what it means to be human, more and more of all of these wounds, to actually see them and accept them in ourselves, accept them in others. And as we do, we integrate. To integrate means to make whole. So we realize that it's not just people out there that are bad. We are also not bad. We're not only good in some ways, we're good in all the ways. Even the parts of ourselves that we despise and loathe are not bad. There are no bad parts is the name of Dick Schwartz's IFS book, which I highly recommend if this resonates with you and yet maybe feels a little bit maybe there's some resistance to that. I totally understand that, because that's how we grow up, right? I mean, that is the whole kind of parenting paradigm that we currently function in. That like, you are a good boy or a good girl if you behave in such a way, and if you behave in a different way, well, you're not good, you're bad. And yet, as we learn along this path, there are no bad parts. They're just they're confused. They don't know how to behave out in the world. It's just like you know, if you look at a child, like a really pure, imagine a really young and pure child who's not bad. Like, children are not born bad. There are no bad, broken children or characters. They're just confused because they don't understand how to have their needs met, right? So when a baby, literally like a small toddler or infant, cries, it's because they feel a need that needs to be met. They're hungry, or they need a diaper change, or they're tired, or they miss mommy. And because they don't know how to communicate about it, they're not even that consciously aware of what's going on for them. You know, they might scream, they might yell. And in a similar way, some of our pre-verbal parts that are kind of stuck in time inside of our emotional body, subtle body, and oftentimes even in our physical body, they can manifest as certain, you know, physical ailments and diseases and conditions. They have needs that were unmet, and they wish to have those needs met now, but they don't always that clearly communicate about what's up. So that's where the work begins. We need to tend to those children, to those parts of ourselves, and really kind of understand what's being longed for, and to finally integrate them and love them and accept them, so that we stop being dragged into the same situations with our partners, with our friends, with strangers on the street, with the bus driver, with the cashier, you know, at the grocery store, with our parents, with ourselves, with our children. It just keeps showing up. That's the whole concept of a mirror, right? That we keep getting those parts of ourselves that we do not love, that we do not accept, reflected back to us, because the mirror wants us to see. And why it becomes grace, as in something positive rather than something that we need to escape, is because it's the way to liberation. It's the way through which we come into wholeness. By shedding all of this, by integrating, we no longer have to manage and strategize. We can drop our strategies. That's my dog, Woof. And come on, buddy, come. We can shed all of that, and we can come into freedom, emotional freedom. Light feels lighter, feels more beautiful, feels more alive, more wholesome. You drop your cynicism, lethargy, collapse, anger, whatever your strategy was, you can begin to drop them because it knows it's no longer needed. So make it full circle back to Michael Singer's analogy with the wound. Rather than protecting yourself from anyone ever bumping into it, we can actually heal the wound. And then we're no longer worried about bumping into somebody on the street, or somebody intentionally poking it or unintentionally scratching it, because the wound is healed. And so we are no longer afraid of the world or of being in it. We walk in peace, in love, and most importantly, in that freedom that comes only when we no longer are afraid of parts of ourselves in us or in others. That's the kingdom of heaven manifest on earth as we integrate more and more of ourselves. So let me know how that resonated. If you have any questions, please drop them below, and like and subscribe to help me grow my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.